Hello, nerds! Nerds for humanity. It is time for something we haven't done in a long while, an unboxing of fresh data about the state of the 2024 POTUS race. So if you love Donald Trump, you can't get enough of him, you believe that he was brought to you by the Lord himself, we'll look at the data. If you think Joe Biden is going to rescue us from an orange disaster, an orange chaos, we'll see what the data says. And if you're like me and you're like, golly, let's get this man to pass the torch and have a Whitmer Harris thing, bring it home, we'll see what the data says about that. So RFK people, third party, we'll see what the crosstabs are on the latest New York Times Siena poll, which is considered by many to be the gold standard of political polls. So, you know, you'll see a lot of polls mentioned. Sometimes they're internal polls, sometimes they're very small polls, small data sets. Polls are expensive to run. New York Times Siena is like the FedEx of polls. Costs a little more, but it's going to get you there. Relax. It's FedEx. Hello, Jeremy. Good to see you, buddy. All right. So I don't have a whole lot of time. I've got a thing I got to go to at 3 Pacific. So we're going to jump right into the data. Let's take a look-see. And I haven't, as you'll be able to tell, I haven't seen this data. I'd like to say that it's partly so we have my real-life reactions. Part of it is because it's freaking July 3rd and it's hot. It is freaking hot in California, Northern California, 94 degrees right now. For those of you who don't think the climate is changing, like, go outside. See how your clean coal works for you then. Any rate, all right, let's look at so we're not going to look at, we'll start with top lines and then we're going to go with likely election voters, crosstabs. So top lines. And by the way, this poll was taken after the debacle debate. Do you think the country is on the right track? You know what? It's going to take forever to do the top lines. We're just going to go to likely. Let's just get to the meat. Okay, so of likely voters. Oh, Earl's in Seattle. Damn, 72. Okay. Respect, Earl. Respect. Although I will tell you, I think the winters in NorCal are a little more favorable. But you might have us now on the summers. Okay. Do you think the United States is on the right track or is it in the wrong direction? Look at this, people. 69%, 69 think that we are on the wrong freaking track. Now, if you're the incumbent president and 7 out of 10 people think the country's on the wrong track, your best argument would have been, well, the other guy's crazy. But now, you might not even be able to argue that because then the other guy will say, but you don't have all your faculties. And it's not like angry men. 71% of men and 67% of women. Jesus. It's not even just like the 18 to 29-year-olds. Certainly 78% of them. By the way, this 18 to 29 is supposed to be part of the Democratic blue wall. 78% of 18 to 29-year-olds think that the country is on the wrong track. The only people that think the country is on the right track are 30% of 65-year-olds. What about race? 73% of whites think we are on the wrong track. 53% of blacks, 66% of Hispanics think America under Joe Biden is on the wrong track. 63% of college educated, wrong track. 73% of non-college educated, wrong track. There is not a single demographic group that thinks the country is on the right track. The only, oh my God, look at this. Even half of Biden's supporters, 45% think we're on the wrong track. That's hilarious. Yeah, there is no demographic group that thinks we are on the right track. Majority. So Joe Biden, in terms of is the country on the right track or wrong track, for men, loses. Women, loses. 18 to 29, loses. 30 to 44, loses. 45 to 64, loses. 65 and over, loses. Whites, loses. Blacks, loses. Hispanics, loses. Are you guys getting the picture? Are you getting the story here? That the entire country thinks we're headed on the wrong track. And who's in the White House right now? Oh my God, this is not good for Joe Biden. Now, thinking ahead, are you almost certain that you will vote? Very likely to vote, somewhat likely. 63%, well, I guess it's supposed to be likely electorate, so that's not surprising. 63% are almost certain. 27% very likely. Men and women, same. Only 46% of young people are almost certain. So the young people are not being activated right now. And only 46% of Hispanics are almost certain to vote. 3 out of every 10 college educated are not certain that they're going to vote. Okay, so we talked about the issue of, do people think we're on the right track? No. Now we're talking about, do we think people are going to turn out? And if you're Joe Biden, you're going to want high turnout for young people, Black and Hispanic. And right now, majority of young people are not certain to turn out. Majority of Hispanics are not certain to turn out. And 47% of Blacks are not certain to turn out. That's a problem. Okay, next. If the election were held today, who would you vote for? 43% say Joe Biden. 49% say Donald Trump. Did you hear that? So there were a lot of people during the early part of the Democratic primaries, when many of us, myself included, were begging for the Democratic Party to consider alternatives, and they all said, oh, don't worry. The campaign doesn't start till the State of the Union. Once you see Biden in the State of the Union, these numbers are going to change. And then it was, oh, Biden's going to request that Trump's mic is going to be turned off and he's not going to have a live audience, and that's going to screw Trump. Don't worry, the polls are going to turn around. And now we know that 49% of likely electorate are going to go for Trump, and 43% are going to go for Biden, despite the State of the Union, and partly as a result of the terrible debate debacle. And now Biden, over a week later, is saying he's going to do one sit-down interview with George Stephanopoulos. It's like, bro, if you sucked on Thursday, starting that first Sunday, I would have done an interview a day. There's only one reason. We all know it. We all know it. Why isn't Joe Biden doing more press conferences after that debacle? Why isn't he doing more interviews after that debacle? Even when the Supreme Court gave immunity to President Trump, how many questions did Biden take from the press at his press conference? Zero. I actually, I have video of it. You want to see video of Biden taking questions? Let's see if I can find it for you. Hold on one second. This guy. This hubris is going to give us 4 more years of Trump. If he doesn't step down, he's going to lose, and he's going to be like the next Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Someone who wasn't able or willing to step aside. And as a result, now we're going to potentially have another 4 years of Trump, another Trump-appointed Supreme Court justice. You want to talk about wrong track? Man, we're going to be on the major wrong track. Okay, let me just show you. This is after the terrible debate. Joe Biden, several days later, has an opportunity to take questions from the press. And let's see how he does.
Law. With fear for our democracy, I dissent. End of quote. So should the American people dissent. I dissent. May God bless you all.
Okay, now the press are going to ask questions and see what he does.
May God protect our troops.
He ran hightailed out of there.
You should be the president.
Power.
Didn't take a damn question.
Now a king above the law.
Oh my God, he's good with the
With fear for our
teleprompters,
democracy,
but they will not let him take questions. They will not let him take questions. Okay, let's look at some more data. Maybe you're saying, "Oh, Tom, you know, you're interpreting things. Just show us the numbers." Okay, I'll show you. I'll show you the numbers. If the election were held today, who would you vote for? And now they show other names. Ooh, look at this. RFK at 8%. If you remember, I had Alan Lichtman. Alan Lichtman said if RFK gets 10% or more, then Biden is going to be harmed significantly. So that would be considered a credible third-party challenge. So if it were held today without the leaners, you get 37% Biden, 42% Trump, 8% Kennedy, 2% Stein, and then a bunch spread across. 6% don't know. And then if you include the leaners, it would be 31% Biden, 34% Trump. Basically, Biden loses in almost every situation. Highest education level, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's summarize for everybody what we saw. This is no bueno for Joe Biden. And I've got some visualizations for you. There's always more data visualizations on this channel. By the way, okay, so I'm going to show you some more charts that visualize the data over time. Before I do that, I want to thank the people who make this channel possible and make this content possible. Those are my YouTube channel members. I think you can actually donate somehow on Twitter. Let me know if you're watching on Twitter and you want to help us out that way. But basically, you know what? It helps me pay for the streaming software, for the podcast hosting fees. If you like audio podcasts, all of my streams get republished there, so you can subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts and Nerds for Humanity. And now I have a free newsletter, nerdsforhumanity.substack.com. It's actually right here. You can just subscribe for free, and I summarize these streams there if you don't have time to listen to the whole darn thing. Okay, so now let's give a shout out to our members. Okay, our biggest supporter is Soldier One. Soldier One is a senior vice president. Let me give these shout outs, and then we'll go to some more charts. Thank you, Soldier One. At the vice president level, right under Soldier One, is Kristen Slevin, Bike, and Emily Quinn. Emily Quinn was not a VP before, so she upgraded her membership. Thank you, Emily. Woo! Go Nerds. All right. Hello, Nerds. Okay, then we have our hardcore. Gene, David, DK, Jack Lego, Mr. History, Mona, Vaughn, Yang, Dean, Galessa, Jay, Parandana, Jason, Daniel, Jeremy, Mickey, Yoda, Jackson, Unkiyu. And then at the entry level, which is only $1.99, I mean, it's like less than a quarter of a cup of boba tea. We have our verified nerds, who I will scroll through here. Thank you for all of your support. All right. Ooh, Joe Tramontano is a fairly new member. Just joined 3 days ago. Lou Mansfield is also new. Oh, just joined 4 days ago. And Sue just joined a month ago. So we got some new nerds in the house. Okay. Now, let's go for data visualization. And then I got to wrap it. All right, here we go. This is likely versus registered voters. So you might be saying, oh, maybe Biden is winning among likely voters. He's only losing among registered voters. No, he's losing among likely voters. And he's been losing among registered voters. And then you may say, oh, well, you know, polls are statistics. Statistics aren't precise. There's a margin of error. Homeboy, in the highest point of the margin of error, is still losing to Trump in his lowest point of the margin of error. If you're a Democrat, you must demand a mini primary starting Monday. Finalize it either at the convention or right before it. And let's ride Whitmer-Harris ticket to victory. Because if we stick with Joe Biden, we are screwed. The numbers have been saying this forever. And voters have been saying they've been concerned about Joe Biden's age forever. And Democratic Party loyalists have always been, stop challenging him, you're only helping Trump. No. You know who's helping Trump? You know who's helping Trump? Joe Biden is helping Trump. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Oh, who said the word era? Era. Okay. I did grow up in New Jersey. So, next chart. How have polls changed since the debate? Okay. Before the debate, Trump was winning. After the debate, Trump is winning by more. So, Biden was sucking before the debate, and after the debate, he just really turned the knife on himself. It's terrible. And it's sad, like, this is his legacy, but people are wondering, can this man serve as president at age 86? Do you know a lot of 86-year-olds that can do the hardest job in the world? I don't. Okay. Now, do you think Joe Biden should remain the Democratic Party's nominee, or should there be a change at the top of the ticket pre-debate? Even before the debate, 45% wanted a new nominee, and now 47% want a new nominee. Of Democrats, among independents, these are the people that choose our president, 72% are not happy with Joe Biden. Now, the good news is that there were plenty of people who didn't want Joe Biden to be the nominee. That would be me. Before the debate. And they still don't want him to be the nominee after the debate. So Biden, in some ways, has not gotten more people saying that he shouldn't be the nominee. But his whole point of doing that debate early, which his team asked for, oh, yes, margin of error. Is that better? Margin of error? Okay. The whole point of the Biden team said, we want a debate in June, not September. We want an early debate. We don't want Donald Trump to be able to speak when his time is up. He needs to be muted. We don't want a live audience because that gets Trump all riled up. And you know what Trump said? Done. You know, I hate Trump, but he totally wiped the floor with Joe Biden last week. Not because Trump is great, but he just let Joe Biden screw up, and Trump was like fairly reasonable. He lied 70% of the time, but he lied in a very reasonable sounding way. So this whole chart here should have been flipped. It should have been after the debate, a whole crap load of people want Biden to remain the nominee. And Biden failed. They got everything they wanted. They had weeks to prepare. They had a whole dedicated week in Camp David, remember? And now he's saying like, oh, it was because of my cold or my jet lag. Bro was not traveling for weeks before that debate. It's not like he just got off the plane from freaking Shanghai and his time zones were all messed up. All right. Do you think Trump should remain? Look, they love him. That's 80. I don't love him, but 83% of Republicans think Trump should be the nominee. Only 30% of independents. So that's good news for Biden, or 35%. Whereas 22% of independents feel Biden should be the nominee. So Trump is now winning among independents. Let's see if we have any more charts for you. That might be it. Let's see. Yeah. Any more charts? No, I think that's it. Okay. So in summary, we need Joe Biden to pass the torch. We need, oh yeah, you want to talk about gaslighting. Yeah. Let me show you. Let me show you this. Let me show you this bull that I posted about on Twitter. So if you're not on Twitter, follow me, nerds_humanity. By the way, I was in the New York Times last week after the debate. This is a picture of Dean Phillips in an article after debate where it says, Representative Dean Phillips of Minnesota warned that Mr. Biden's age would prove disqualifying with voters in New Hampshire. Oh, who's that? Who's that there on the right? You know it. You know it. And I spent a month, almost a month, in freezing New Hampshire trying to get Democratic Party members to consider alternatives. And they all said, well, first of all, 30,000 New Hampshire primary voters said agreed, and they did not want Biden. But the party didn't listen, and then something like 90% of South Carolina voters basically thought Biden was amazing, which makes you wonder, like, how good is South Carolina at picking winners? At any rate, I told you I was going to show you the gaslighting by the Democratic Party kind of closing of the ranks. Let me show you these lies that we have now on video. I need to find it. Give me a second. It's pretty nutty. It'll be worth the wait. Okay. Oh yeah, here it is. Come on, man. Bear with me, nerds. God, I post a lot of crap. Okay, here we go. I found it.
Like this.
Okay.
Especially.
All right, here we go. This is from The Daily Show. So Jon Stewart and his team summarized this well for us.
Now, Democrats will say that any criticism like this, especially of Biden, is unfair because you just don't know Biden like they know Biden.
President Biden, who I've been around numerous times just in this last year, is sharp, he's focused, he's bright.
He is sharp, intensely probing and detail-oriented and focused.
This is a man who is sharp, who is on top of his game, who knows what's going on.
He's smart. He's on his game.
I was in almost every meeting with the president, and the president was in front of and on top of it all, coordinating and directing leaders who are in charge of America's national security, not to mention our allies around the globe.
We need to do child care, elder care, making sure that we continue to strengthen our healthcare system, making sure that we're able to make every single solitary person eligible for what I've been able to do with the COVID. With dealing with everything we have to do with. Look, if we finally beat Medicare.
Thank you, President Biden.
Oh my God. Remember that's going to go down in history as one of the worst moments in presidential debates. Let me give you a little heads up. I'm also doing a poll here on Twitter. What method should the DNC use to pick their new nominee? Should Biden be able to pick his successor? Should it just go straight to Harris, because you could argue she's the VP? Or should we have a mini primary where delegates are released and can vote for whoever the hell they want? I'm a big fan of a mini primary because, you know, as they say in the Biden campaign, democracy is on the line. So let's have the people decide. Another poll is, this is an interesting one, if I do say so myself. How confident are you that Biden can handle a 3 a.m. national security crisis? 19% have complete confidence. Wow. Okay. There you go. Let's see. Any other polls? I think those are the main ones. This is the other one, which is, a reminder to all of us that Ruth Bader Ginsburg was a tireless advocate for women's rights and rights of all kinds of people. And she had an opportunity to step down in 2013. President Obama had asked her to retire, and she didn't. And she said, or she must have concluded that surely Hillary Clinton is going to win, and therefore we don't need to hurry. And she gambled, as Professor Dauber at Stanford Law said. But she didn't just gamble with herself. She gambled with the rights of Professor Dauber's daughter and granddaughter. And that's her legacy, and it's tragic. Is Joe Biden's legacy going to be that he's going to give us 4 more years of Trump because he was unwilling to step down because of his hubris? Or because maybe he doesn't even have the great judgment right now and he's relying on Jill and his advisors, and Jill is just too stubborn? Or his advisors are clinging to power and the Biden staff want to stay in the White House and they don't want a new team to take over? I mean, that is basically what we're facing right now. If Joe Biden stays on and he loses, who's going to be surprised? I'm not going to be surprised. You're not going to be surprised. The numbers have been saying this for years now. Nobody wanted Joe Biden to be a 2-term president. He promised to be a transitional figure. He was mainly a placeholder. And then he, for whatever reason, decided to run for re-election because he thought only he can beat Donald Trump. We know what we saw with our own eyes last week. He could not beat Trump. He got his ass kicked by Donald Trump. And to lose in polling now, despite the fact that Trump is a convicted felon, a known insurrectionist, a liable sexual assaulter, a man himself 80-ish, tells you how bad of a candidate Joe Biden is. So if you want to help out this channel and keep this content going, do me a solid. If you can't become a member, well, first, become a member on YouTube. If you can't, like and share this stream wherever you're watching it. If you also can write me a review of the audio podcast, wherever you listen to the podcast, that helps the channel as well. And I'll try and keep creating content for you all, and also having more guests come on the show. And I'm thinking of doing I think I might do a panel, a mini primary discussion panel, where I get someone who's supporting Harris, someone who's supporting Whitmer, Newsom, and maybe one more, Shapiro, maybe, I don't know, onto the Nerd Show, and we can all kind of discuss, like, okay, why do you think your person would be best suited? And maybe we get a Biden supporter too in this mini primary. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see that panel discussion. And in the meantime, have a wonderful 4th of July. Let's remember that it is a celebration of independence from a colonial empire that had a king who had absolute immunity over whatever he did. And if Joe Biden stays on the ticket and he loses, we may see the closest thing this country has ever had to another king. And that would be Donald Trump, dictator for a day or more. So let's take this serious. There's time to make a change. It's okay. If you were a Biden supporter before and you thought people were just being too hard on him, it's okay. I understand how that might have been kind of the perception, but now we've all seen what we saw last week. We've seen how he's declined and also refused to do interviews on the Friday after the debate. He then refused to take questions on the Saturday after the debate. He refused to take any interviews on the Sunday after the debate. He refused to give any unprepared, non-teleprompter remarks on the Monday after the debate. He refused to take questions on the Tuesday after the debate. And here we are Wednesday after the debate, almost a full week. Ask yourself, how many questions have you seen President Joe Biden answer from the press? 0. Bye, nerds.